Welcome to the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. In this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are here breaking down the Olympics, NFL, everything that you need to know in sports right now, and you can't teach that. Bada boom, man, the people in the room, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Tanner, and I'm also laughing a little bit because I can tell you're in a ballroom right now. I can tell you're not bringing the usual screaming in the morning. I know where you are. I know you're in Vegas. I know it's early out there, but it's good to be back here with you.
Yeah, definitely. So I had to figure out where I was going to do this. So I can't do it in the room. I couldn't do it in the hallway near the elevator because I thought that could go wrong. So I found the ballroom, like convention center, and I'm as far back as possible as I can be. And the first convention doesn't start till 8:30, and it's currently 5:21 out here. So just waiting until I get kicked out of here, honestly, for screaming.
Yeah, when you said you were good to record at this time, I was surprised you were willing to wake up that early. That's dedication. That's commitment to ride the line.
Well, the problem is, like, you still got stuff to do on the East Coast time, right? So, like, technically, right, it doesn't matter. It's 5:21. It's like 8:21. Like, I'm still working this week, so I'm basically on East Coast time. So if we did it later, it just throws off the entire day. So I had to stay committed for the people.
I do some business with two other people. Like it's the three of us and the two others both live in California, and it's just brutal trying to work on their time because I'm outnumbered. Like they get majority rules, but I'm trying to tell them you've got to work on East Coast time. Like East Coast time is just what the world operates on.
So I will say I like East Coast time a lot better. But when you're looking at West Coast time, the benefit is like if you're working an East Coast schedule, when 2 o'clock hits, like you're done for the day on an East Coast workday, which is awesome. And even waking up early, so be it. It's like I'd be waking up early anyways, go run or work out. So like wake up early, get your work done, be done at 2. You get the whole afternoon to enjoy.
When I was when I first started working right after I graduated college, back when we first met, I was getting up at like 4 or 4:30, not because I had to, but I was just doing it. Just I don't know, just going through, it's just fresh out of college, trying to try different schedules, see what worked the best. And I would be done with my day by like 11 or 11:30 a.m. And to your point, having that much freedom for the rest of the day. Yes, I was going to bed early, but still it felt like the day was so much longer. But then the problem, of course, is once you get into the sports calendar, it's just not feasible to keep that schedule up because you got to stay up until midnight, 1 a.m. watching the games, taking notes, yada, yada.
Yeah, definitely. So make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast because that's the number one reason we're here is to get you to subscribe, to give you the best content possible. So do that. All links are linked down below. We got WSN.com, guys. Get all your written content on there, video content for sports betting and sports content. And Grant, we got some Olympics to talk about today. We're going to talk a little NFL because the Hall of Fame game is back. Let's start with the United States beating South Sudan 103-86. They were a 29.5-point favorite, 28.5-point favorite, I think, depending on where you got that line at. And they failed to cover in this game. I don't think either of us were necessarily surprised by that. But my biggest takeaway was Jayson Tatum is just terrible at basketball.
Yeah, so this was free money. I mean, the line actually opened, I believe, at 32.5, and then it shrunk down. You think back to when the U.S. played South Sudan a week, 10 days ago, whenever it was, they were a 42-point favorite. They won by 1 point. So anybody who took the USA spread in this one don't really know what you were thinking. They have yet to beat an opponent by this much. And South Sudan has proven itself to be a good team. They won their first game at the Olympics, so from that perspective, that was free. But yeah, Tanner, Jayson Tatum, this is your boy. This is your golden child. This is the guy you said is going to lead the next NBA dynasty. This is the guy who's supposed to get the Hall of Fame, resume with Boston and win multiple championships. He was not the best player on the Celtics in the playoffs. He was not the best player on the Celtics in the finals. And so far, I mean, he just sticks out like a sore thumb with this Team USA team. I saw a very interesting stat here. Jayson Tatum, his jump shot has always looked a little funky to me. I don't know about you. There's always been like a kind of a hitch in it. But if you go back to the playoffs, he only shot 29% from 3. And with Team USA, exhibition and Olympic games, he's 0 for 11 on jump shots. It's like he's completely forgot how to shoot jumpers. I just don't know what's going on with him.
So the 3-pointer that, like, when you look at the box score, first of all, like, he was 2 of 4, 0 for 1 from 3. He did have 5 boards and 2 assists in 17 minutes. Like, low key, he was kind of productive when you're looking at that. But the 3-pointer that he took yesterday, he was better than Steph Curry, Grant. Don't give me that. The 3-pointer that he took yesterday hit the backboard, like the side of the backboard. It looked like a WNBA game. And I'm sorry, WNBA, but every time I've watched a WNBA game, that has seemed to happen. It doesn't happen as much in the NBA. That happened in this game yesterday. And it wasn't a pleasant experience because I think that was the first shot he took. And it just wasn't good.
It was the first shot he took, and it was wide open too.
Yeah, it was a wide open shot. Like, you can't do that. Like that, it truly looked like. I remember when I went to a WNBA game, it was the Connecticut Sun versus, I think it was honestly the Indiana Fever. It was 2 years ago. It was before Caitlin Clark came into the league, and Lexi Hull or Sarah Hull, I don't know which one of them, but you know that name. Didn't they play like Stanford or something? Mm-hmm. She's atrocious, by the way. She can't do anything. So Indiana Fever was like a 16-point underdog, and they were like plus 1,000 on the money line. And she had the chance to hit like a tying shot, a 3-pointer to send it to overtime, and she hit the side of the backboard, but like not even the side of the backboard. Like, she legit hit where the part of the backboard is where the shot clock was. And it was a really bad shot. Like, that's what that shot reminded me of from Jayson Tatum. And I love the WNBA, big WNBA fan, but like that was the first thing that came to mind.
You know what's so interesting about Tatum, and I think we broke it down a little bit on the last episode, but let's just go through this roster. So there are certain locks, whether it's who the person is or the position they play. So we know LeBron is a lock, Durant is a lock, Anthony Davis is a lock. So we've got 3 right there. Then if we're looking at guys that are going to compete for Tatum's minutes, well, he's not competing with Embiid, who actually didn't play in this game, and he's not going to compete with Bam, so they're safe. You know Anthony Edwards and Devin Booker are going to play. You know Steph Curry and Drew Holiday are going to play. There's really only one slot left there, maybe if you go to a 10-man rotation, and it seems like that's what Jayson Tatum is fighting for. And this is the thing. I couldn't understand how Steve Kerr goes from not playing him to starting him. Whatever. That doesn't make sense. But that aside, Jayson Tatum's style of play should fit in with this team. He should be able to be a piece in this lineup or just this rotation. He just doesn't fit. Like, I don't know what it is. He just can't seem to make his mark on this team. And again, it does go back to the playoffs. I know he was still good in the playoffs, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't the best player on his team. So I don't know if this is a mental thing for him. I don't know if his body is just tired and needs some time off, but this is not the Jayson Tatum that I think we're used to seeing.
But he didn't play in game 1. Like, he can't control that. And he should have played in game 1 because they won it with ease. He said after game 1, you win a championship, new contract, NBA 2K25 cover Sports Illustrated. So after all this, it's definitely a humbling experience not playing in game 1. I think Jayson Tatum gets a lot of negative noise around him, and a lot of it's unwarranted. Jayson Tatum's a fantastic basketball player. I mean, it's a bad look when you come in and you hit the side of the backboard for your first shot in a game that you were probably started because the media forced you to start. And Steve Kerr is also an idiot, though, because he should have played a little bit in game 1. There should have never been any, no Jayson Tatum playing. This is an all-star team.
Well, once he didn't play, then you can't start him in game 2 because he's got no rhythm. He's got no confidence. If he played him 20 minutes off the bench and then wants to start him in game 3, I think that makes sense. But this is almost like this is either a nonverbal admission that I effed up, or it's trying to throw Jayson Tatum a bone. This was not in the best interest of Team USA in this game.
Well, this kind of reminds me of like when your kid doesn't play on like Little League and you call the coach up and you're like, make sure the kid plays. And usually the coach, if they back down to the parent, they're in. Like Jayson Tatum doesn't even play, and then he becomes a starter because he didn't play in the game before. And if he didn't play in the game before and he didn't start in the game before, in Steve Kerr's mind, he's not one of the best 5 guys on the floor. And I know he's trying to figure out the rotation, but still, it's like when you're looking at this game, it's not really a good look for Steve Kerr either. The fact that you didn't play him in game 1, now you start him here just because people said, why didn't you play him?
No, I fully agree with that. That was one of my biggest takeaways. And it was so interesting because I love that he had the courage to bench Joel Embiid, the guy who, won the MVP basically a year ago and was one of the top 3 scorers on the team, I believe. But if you watch the game, it was obvious Embiid didn't fit, and Embiid just slowed things down. And he was the only person that didn't get minutes in this game. So that took balls, also considering the fact Embiid could have played for France, and he's been getting crap throughout this entire tournament because they're saying, hey, give us your passport back, give us your citizenship, et cetera, et cetera. And Embiid makes the decision, go to play for the USA, and now he doesn't play. Like, that took balls from Steve Kerr, but then it was the opposite of having balls. It was giving in to when you started Tatum. I just don't get it.
When did Joel Embiid get his citizenship?
I don't know. So I know that I know that he's from Cameroon, and I believe he was part of the NBA Africa pathways sort of thing, although I could be wrong there. Comes to Kansas, has the injury, gets drafted by the Sixers. So he's been in America for a while now. Like, Embiid, I want to say, is 30, and if he's been here since college, he's been here over a decade. So
yeah, it's been here a while. It says he is American and French citizen. So France must own Cameroon, right?
Yeah, no, they don't own them, but he could have played for the USA, France, or Cameroon, and he chose the USA.
Why France though?
Huh?
Why France?
Because he's a citizen there.
Why? He's from Cameroon.
I don't know if so they don't own them. Cameroon was originally a French colony. I don't know if that inherently gets you citizenship or you have to apply for it, but it was something in that neighborhood.
It's like we own the U.S. Virgin Islands.
No, it's not like that, because are the U.S. Virgin Islands a territory? No, Puerto Rico's territory, or the Virgin Islands. You know what? Here, if you're born in Cameroon, do you get French? We're looking this up right now. We're becoming more cultured people.
Does France own Cameroon? From 1884, Francophone Cameroon became independent in 1960. All right, so this doesn't make any sense.
A person born in Cameroon to at least one French parent may be eligible for French citizenship by descent.
So it's not like the U.S. with their territories.
No, it's not. I'm telling you, Cameroon is an independent country. France does not own them.
Puerto Rico, do you get citizenship if you're from Puerto Rico in the U.S.?
I believe, because it's a U.S. territory and it's not a country, I believe you get American citizenship in Puerto Rico.
But we're playing Puerto Rico on Friday. This makes no sense.
Honestly, this is telling me we need to learn some more geography and just citizenship statuses.
This makes no sense at all. But like, if your territories, you own them, but Puerto Rico is its own country, I think. Right?
Okay, let's see. If you are a United States citizen if you were born anywhere in the United States or its territories, including Puerto Rico, Guam, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So there you go.
But we're playing Puerto Rico, so it makes no sense.
See, that part confuses me. I don't get that. That confuses me.
Joel Embiid's going to play against Puerto Rico. It looks like the starters have been announced already. It's going to be LeBron, Steph, D-Book, Drew Holiday, and Joel Embiid against Puerto Rico. So how many minutes does Jayson Tatum play?
Wait, where'd they announce that?
It's on Twitter. I'm ahead of the game, Grant.
Is it a reputable source?
Ben Golliver.
Oh, okay.
National NBA writer.
Yeah, he's usually pretty reputable. So that's the other lineup that they had been going with for a while. So I guess they're just pivoting back to it. I'll be honest, I don't know a whole lot about the Puerto Rican team. I've watched a couple of games. I know that Jose Alvarado is one of their best players, and if that's the case, then I don't expect them to put up much of a fight here. Size is never a bad thing in international play, so it is what it is. I don't think the U.S. has much to worry about there.
No, but the U.S., honestly, if there was a team that was like half decent and played basketball in their country pretty well, they would get beat. They're not very good. They haven't figured it out yet.
No, and I mean, they have made steps. Once they took Embiid off the court in their first game against Serbia, I think they were like plus 30, plus 31. So I don't know if, the coaching staff went back and reviewed that, and that's why they decided to bench him against South Sudan. Look, I know that they didn't cover the spread, but 17-point win is still a 17-point win, and in a 40-minute game as opposed to a 48-minute game, considering you only beat them by 1 point a week ago, it is improvement. So I don't think this U.S. team has anything to be worried about. I think they're easily going to go undefeated. I think they easily win the gold medal.
Grant, I'm going to send you a tweet here, and I'm going to let you know if we want. I'm going to give you the option if we want to talk about it. But this is breaking news here on the podcast. Check this out. And there's more reputable sources than what I'm sending it from. I'll send it from a different person. But this is breaking news in the Olympic boxing world.
What is this?
I guess there was a girl who wanted to fight against the guys, and she got hit in the face and then forfeited right after. She didn't even get punched that hard.
Wait, it says she was forced to compete in a boxing match
Against Imani Khalif at the Olympics. She quit 46 seconds after getting punched in the face. Imani was declared the winner. Khalif failed gender eligibility test at the 2023 World Championships. Poor girl trained her whole life for those Olympic sanctions. Violence against women. I don't know. I got to do more research.
So she wanted to fight against a biological man, and they made her fight a biological woman.
Doesn't sound like she wants to fight against anybody. Oh yeah. I don't know.
We got to do some more research on it. We'll be back. We'll be back for the next episode.
But we
got to walk on eggshells here, though. We got to be careful with this.
Search Olympic. Yeah, we got to have the facts right. But this was pretty interesting. This is catching my eye on the Twitter world. So go look at that, guys. Olympic boxing right now. Breaking news just happened here on Thursday morning, 8:36 a.m. East Coast time. All right. So
wait, have you seen the people on Twitter who are handicapping the transgender Olympics or matches or whatever?
Is there a transgender Olympics?
I don't know. I literally just saw this for the first time on Twitter last night, and I guess it's an interesting market because there's probably not a lot of data points. Like if you have an edge, it's probably a pretty big edge.
No, we should have that. I think personally, we'll say aside, but that'd be cool to have. And then we should have a normal person Olympics. Like I did a story on the swimmer. You remember that guy? I just found out about him yesterday. The eel. What's his name?
The eel.
The eel.
Was this did they go to UVA?
No, he'd never swam before. He was from like Equatorial Guinea.
Okay, no, this isn't. Oh, I'm thinking of someone Thomas from a few years ago.
Eric Musambani. Did you ever hear about this guy?
No. What is this?
So this was go look it up after this, but it's 2000 Olympics, and the Olympics has a program where countries that don't have like training facilities can get into the Olympics. Like it's like a random draw every year, which we don't really see because we're not like paying attention. Most times they can probably compete in the sport at like a decently high level. But there was this country named Equatorial Guinea, which I don't even know where it's at, that got into the Olympics, and they got in for swimming.
It's in Africa.
Yeah, and nobody knew how to swim in that country. So Eric Musambani was I'm not saying nobody knew how to swim, but whoever was ready to do the swimming, Eric Musambani, had no clue how to swim. So for 8 months leading up to the Olympics, he was trying to learn how to swim. He was like talking to local fishermen about how to stay afloat. He swam in like a little kiddie pool 3 hours a week. He had never seen an Olympic-sized swimming pool before he got to the Olympics. And then he gets there and he's on the block and his entire heat jumps off sides or false starts. So they all get disqualified. So he actually ended up winning. And his time was a 1:52, which is like a minute slower than the world record. And it was so slow that they couldn't advance him to the next round, even though he won.
Oh, what? There's a standard you got to meet?
Yeah, it's a pretty cool story, honestly. Go check it out.
I'm definitely going to, because that is actually a great story. That would be a cool little 60-second 30 for 30 type clip you could make.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so Grant, talk about track. I don't have much to say about track, guys. Grant's the big track guy. But he's going to give you some locks.
Yeah, so I mean, we figured we would just talk about this because sprint, as a former track and field runner, I'm happy people actually care a little bit about track. And shout out to Sprint, shout out to Netflix. They've made it somewhat popular. The stars of Sprint are heading over into action at the Paris Olympics, but there are some changes. Sharika Jackson, who they talked about a lot in the show, she has scratched the 100-meter. My personal best bets here are, first of all, Noah Lyles in the 200, Tanner. You can just tell... this is a market that is full of inefficiencies. And again, limited data points, just not being that popular of a sport, whatever. Noah Lyles was, I think, minus 220, minus 230 to win the 200 at one point. He's now minus 400 and climbing, might even be up to minus 500 by the time this goes live. In the 100, he was plus 200, and now he's minus 120. So like you're just seeing a ton of money go his way. And I think that's just. I would take him in both the 100 and the 200. He's won 25 straight 200s. His 100 time, although it is not the fastest in the world, he is the defending world champion. He has more experience than any of the guys around him. I like him in both of those. On the women's side, I actually liked Sharika Jackson in the 100, although she's no longer racing. I think Sha'Carri Richardson is going to win, but personally, I would not bet it. She's just very inconsistent. And then in the 200, I like Gabby Thomas to get the win there. And that's my track picks for the sprints.
Lock them in. All right. So we want a full report on Monday. How you did.
So, well, okay. So matter of fact, I have it up in front of me. Let me get the schedule. We've got the 100, I think it's the women's 100 prelim on Friday, the men's 100 prelim on Saturday, and then I think you get both finals on Sunday. So it'll only be the 100, but we will be able to talk about the 100 next week.
Okay. I want a full report still. Transparency, Grant. Let people know how you did.
I mean, I will. I've got no problem talking about it. I got no problem talking about it if I lost. Pretty cool fact, though, about Noah Lyles, who, even though I know you said you didn't watch Sprint, I'm sure you've heard his name. Like, we've talked about him before. He made the comment about the champions of the world. How's that possible? Whatever. I'm actually sitting right now about 5 minutes away from where he went to high school. I used to race this guy. Not race him. We did not run the same events, but I saw him pretty much every weekend throughout my entire high school track career. And also, fun fact, if anybody out there has seen Remember the Titans, that is the high school that Noah Lyles went to.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool.
And then they changed it. So it was T.C. Williams High School. And then when they were renaming all the schools, they changed the name a few years ago. And I believe they changed it back to T.C. Williams recently.
That's cool. I love Remember the Titans. Great movie. Great segue into football season too, Grant. And we got football. We got Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle and the Houston Texans going after it's going to be Tyson Bagent for a little bit, and I'm sure Tim Boyle won't start. But Tim Boyle's probably going to get the majority of the reps in this game for the Houston Texans. Go against his old team in the Chicago Bears too. He was a Bears guy.
Wait, you think Tim Boyle's going to get the majority of the reps here?
100%.
I would think Case Keenum would get most of them.
Yeah, but Case Keenum's also like what? How many years he's been in the league? Like 10 years?
Tim Boyle's a vet too, isn't he?
I know, but Tim Boyle needs all the help he can get. Like, honestly, like Case Keenum, you know what you're getting with Case Keenum. He's been in the league. He's 36 years old.
Well, Tim Boyle's the fourth quarterback. Like, they might not even keep him. Why would he get all the reps?
Because this is the game that that helps figure that out, right? Like, Davis Mills is a former was he a first round pick?
No.
Second.
He was not.
Second?
He was a third round pick.
All right, so he was a third round pick. Case Keenum's 36 years old. Case Keenum's at the end of his career, and this is why, for me, like, you want to play Tim Boyle tonight, because you need to figure out if you're going to keep Tim Boyle, because it's probably a lot cheaper to keep Tim Boyle than it is Case Keenum, service time wise.
I don't know. Case Keenum is 36 years old, like you said. Maybe he's willing to accept a very small deal.
But also with like Case Keenum, yeah, you're right. I mean, it probably doesn't matter. But is Case Keenum really going to be your third string quarterback? Are you going to keep him on as the third stringer? Or is he going to be a practice squad guy?
I mean, why wouldn't you? Isn't he kind of like that's not you want to have, in my opinion, you have your starter, you want to have one backup that's young and developing. And Davis Mills has been in the league for a few years, but he's still only 25. And then you want to have a vet who's not going to be in the headlines. And I think that's Case Keenum.
You're right. And was Case Keenum on the team last year?
I believe, because he went from the last time he played, I think, was with the Commanders, and then I think he's been in Houston the last 2 years, right?
Yeah, so you probably want him to mentor CJ Stroud a little bit.
Yeah, maybe not so much mentoring, but just
probably
be like a therapist, if anything.
That was probably your thought process last year with Case Keenum. Good veteran guy around the locker room. I think Davis Mills will get a good chunk of action. I mean, this is game 1 too, and you got guys on the field that are getting cut on Monday or whenever you can get cut for the first cut. Like the talent is just not as high in this game. So I think, one, you don't want to risk injury to Davis Mills if he's going to be your backup quarterback. Case Keenum, you know what you're getting, and Tim Boyle, I mean, you got to figure out if he can play here or play somewhere else.
Well, I'll tell you what, I really don't care who gets the majority of the snaps. I like the Houston Texans to win this game. I liked them even before Caleb Williams and the starters were ruled out for the Bears. I just think with the preseason, like let's be honest, we don't know a lot of these backup players. So A, the Texans were a better team last year, and then B, let's look at the quarterbacks. On one side, you've got Tyson Bagent, you've got Brett Rippon, and you've got Austin Reed, who I just had to look at, is a rookie undrafted out of Western Kentucky. And I know that Western Kentucky is close to your heart because of Bailey Zappi went there, but I don't trust them, or I don't trust that trio as much as I do Davis Mills, Case Keenum, and who are we just talking about?
Tim Boyle.
Tim Boyle. Thank you. I like those three quarterbacks better than what the Bears have to offer.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't play. I probably play money line here if I had to pick.
Yep.
So if I like the Bears, I'm playing +1.5. Because this game can end in a tie. If I like the Texans, I'm playing money line because I think this could come down to 1 point, honestly. Because you never know. Game on the line, go for 2 kind of thing, try to win it. You just don't know what you're going to get in the preseason. But I'm looking at Tim Boyle to take most of the reps in the second half for Houston, going against Austin Reed, you said?
Yeah, rookie, 24-year-old from Western Kentucky.
Should be interesting. Over or under, Grant?
What do we have? 31.5?
Yeah.
Let's go under. Let's go under.
The overs hit the past 2 seasons, but prior to that, I think in the 9 years leading up to it was 7-2. The under.
It always makes me laugh how low the preseason totals are,
and they're hard to get to.
Yeah, I mean, like if you see a 36 during the regular season, you think, "Wow, these teams must be awful," and then you get a 31 here, and it's like, I think the under doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah, definitely. So
I know we didn't plan on talking about this, but what just popped into my head real quick. I know you said preseason doesn't matter, and I do agree with you, but training camp. Do you think that matters at all? Because I saw a report, or saw, I don't know, saw whatever, that Brock Purdy, I don't know if you saw this, but I guess there was an 8-play stretch where he threw or maybe it was just an 8-pass stretch where he had 2 completions, 2 dropped interceptions, and 4 interceptions. So in a roundabout way, 6 interception type throws on 8 throws. Is that something you care about, or just wait for the regular season?
No, training camp definitely matters and how you're performing, but we're also in the first couple weeks of training camp. So you can't overreact to that. I mean, it's just beat writers tweeting stuff. You don't know what they're putting in, what the play concept is, all that. But training camp matters, especially for guys trying to make the team. Like tonight's game matters for guys trying to make the team. It all matters. But from a coaching perspective, and they want to go out and win the game, but they also want to get the guys work and see where they fit in too. Like I think that takes precedent over going out and winning the game. It's like, well, if I want to see Tim Boyle play for a half, but I know Case Keenum is better than Tim Boyle, like I still want Tim Boyle to play because that's what I need to see to make a decision on him.
No, I agree with you. I'm a big believer in that practice is all about habits, trying things, seeing what you've got, etc. Like something with that Brock Purdy story, I'm not going to hear that and say, oh, well, this proves Brock Purdy is not the guy, whatever. You've also got to keep in mind you are playing the same guys every day in practice. It's the guys who know you the best. They should know what you're going to do, and they'll probably know your plays unless you're installing something new, and in that case, it is brand new to you. So I'm with you. Don't get me wrong. Like it absolutely matters for the backups and the practice squad guys, but the starters, I don't read into that type of stuff.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Well, Grant, my foot is falling asleep right now pretty bad. Sitting crisscross applesauce here on the ground of a convention center. So why don't you take us out of here, and I'm going to try to limp back to my hotel room.
Guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Ride the Line. Huge shout out to Tanner for his commitment to the show, getting up at 5 a.m. to record. If you guys want to show your appreciation for Tanner, make sure you do hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well. Drop some comments. Let us know who wins the Hall of Fame game tonight. We will catch you all on the next episode of Ride the Line.